Buongiorno tutti, everybody. Sono Curtis Thomas Connection Podcast. With a little bit of a language that I'm doing, it is a little bit of Italian. So if you could guess what we're talking about today, it is an Italian restaurant. It is Rovalis Ristorante Italiano. And this place is really awesome. If you are in the mood for Italian and you really want to get fancied up, you don't even have to even get fancied up. I like to get fancied up. But this place is so well taken care of and so clean, so nice. And one of the things that I really love about it is that some of the times that they have, they even have live music, which is one of my favorite things to go into if I'm going to be going to a restaurant. Not only that, but you get really good food. Italian food is probably one of my favorites. To be honest, it probably is my favorite. My wife at home, she makes Italian food all the time at home. You know, she makes awesome chicken parmesan, eggplant parmesan, or my favorite dish, which is eggplant and chicken parmesan put together. So the things that I wanted to talk to you about today is that we have an exclusive awesome interview that we're going to be doing today. We're going to be giving Alex Montanez a call, and he's going to be telling us about the good things that we can hear about Rovalis, the dishes that he prepares, and everything that goes along with it. But if you haven't ever heard of Rovalis Ristorante Italiano, it is located 174 25th Street in Ogden, and it's a really good spot. You know, obviously it's right on 25th Street in Ogden, and it's a really good place. You got two openings. You got the front door that's right there on the main street of 25th Street, and they've got a back entrance which walks into an outside patio. Well, you walk into an outside patio that leads into there, and it works out really well. Outside seating and beautiful lighting, and with the dishes that they do, they've got like the chicken parmesan and eggplant parm, seafood alfredo, and even lasagna spaghetti, and what's called mama's meatballs. And it was really good as well. But so what I'm going to do really quick is that I'm just going to give Alex Montanez a call, and he's going to walk me through this. All right, so I might seem a little bit nervous, but that's only because I have never interviewed a restaurant owner before. So he is definitely going to be telling me a whole lot more than what I know. So it's not very hard, but he's going to sound a whole lot smarter than I am in this kind of industry. So let's give him a call really quick.
Third time's a charm.
Yeah, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Doing really good. This is Curtis with Thomas Connection Podcast on the food industry. How you doing today?
Good, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. And to be fairly honest, I think that we've actually talked a few times before. I know that you're very, very busy and you've talked to a few people in your restaurant before, but me and you've actually had some words together face to face.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah. It's just when you were walking around, and, you know, meeting and greeting people, how's the food, and, you know, do you enjoy it here? And I gotta say, look how far that you've come now, and this is where we've come to now, is doing a interview over the phone.
Well, let's do it. I'm excited.
Well, great. Well, could you tell us, when did you start getting into the food industry?
Yeah, the story is quite interesting, actually, at least from my perspective. You know, my daughter was attending school in San Diego, going to college there, and she happened to fall in love with the chef. And when they got married, it just kind of occurred to me, how do I keep my daughter here in Utah? And so while they were on their honeymoon, I talked to my wife and I said, you know, because I'm an entrepreneur. I've been an entrepreneur for a long time, and I said, what would you think about opening up a restaurant? And she's like, absolutely not. So it took me a while to convince her that this is something that we should probably do. And after their honeymoon, they came back to Ogden to spend one day with us before starting their new married life in San Diego. And I sat this man down that I didn't know very well, and I said, how'd you like to own your own restaurant? And his eyes just got really big, and he was just kind of speechless for a minute. And I said, but you have to make a commitment to me, because I didn't know what his work ethic was. I didn't know if he was a hard worker or professionalism, any of that stuff. I really didn't know. And
Right.
I said, you have to make a commitment to me. And he said, what's that? I said, you have to create a three-course meal, or excuse me, two-course meal once a week for 52 weeks, so an entire year.
Okay.
And he did not hesitate. He said, done. So we started that, and he held up to his end of the bargain. He worked a dinner once a week, every week, and during that time, we kind of learned the background of the back end of the restaurant business, not to make mistakes that new businesses, especially going into a new industry, that other people make, that we wanted to avoid any kind of pitfalls.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, so after the first year, we hit the ground running, and the rest is history.
And you've been around for how long now in Rovalis?
Going on 13 years, I believe. Yes.
Oh, wow. It's just been a gold mine ever since then, because every time that me and my wife, we want to go out and have some Italian, that's the only place where we go to. We dropped Olive Garden years ago.
Well, I take that as the highest compliment. So thank you for saying that, because it means a lot to me. Our whole restaurant is all family. My two son-in-laws are my chefs. My youngest daughter is our baker, and then my wife and my eldest daughter and myself.
Oh.
And now I even have my grandson bussing tables, because he wants to learn it from the ground up.
That's perfect. That's the perfect way to learn it, I would believe.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, since today is Friday night, what kind of specials are you doing tonight?
Tonight we have a really good one. It is a grilled chicken breast on a bed of angel hair with two different sauces. We've got the tomato basil sauce, which is a lighter type of sauce, and then we're topping it with our homemade mozzarella and pesto sauce on top.
Pesto sauce. Oh man. Okay. What kind of dish would you recommend that's usually just on the menu to anyone else?
On the menu, we're pretty famous for our fresh eggplant parmesan.
Yes.
That one is super popular.
Yes, it is.
And of course, our lasagna is kind of one of our signature dishes. And then my personal favorite is the clams and linguine. That's in a lighter lemon sauce with garlic. So it's actually more like a broth. So it's a very, very traditional Italian dish, Italian recipe.
Usually with the Italian dishes, they have a lot of seafood. So I would imagine that would be probably one of your more authentic dishes.
Yeah, that is. And, my personal favorite, too, is I like to add a side of scallops, because our chefs just pan-sear the scallops just perfectly. Okay. You have to be really careful with scallops. You can undercook them easily, and you can overcook them probably more easily.
Oh, man. I've never had the pleasure of even trying that. I don't think I want to now. So, with the other part of your menu that you have are your desserts. Now, I was just online checking out all of your desserts, and it looks like that you've got some pretty good deals with some of the cheesecakes those come in full, correct?
What do you mean by full?
As in like a full round cheesecake. They don't come in slices or little slivers or anything like that.
Oh, what we do is we sell everything that we have by the slice. But if people want to get a whole cake or a whole pie, we sell that. We sell it that way. Our only requirement there is we have a 48-hour notice because we make them fresh.
Oh, okay.
So if somebody came off the street and said, I want that whole cake, we probably would not sell it to them because that's for my guests for lunch or dinner.
Oh, okay.
But it's easy to call us up and say, hey, we want to do this. And we've done, our cake sales are like starting to shoot through the roof. It's crazy. We're just to keep up, we've been really, really busy. But now, my daughter just made a homemade wedding cake, and her cakes are very unique to say the least, because they're not your traditional wedding cake, but they are so good. It's just insane.
So good that it's just insane.
Oh, and I want to tell you something kind of cool though.
Sure.
When my baker, my daughter, she got married a number of years ago, she made her own wedding cake.
Yeah.
And this was the thing that I'll always remember because it was so unique. She made like a 4-tier wedding cake out of cream puffs.
No way.
And the cool thing was when people went to get their piece of wedding cake, like, you go and get your slice of cake or whatever.
Yes.
All they did was they just had a little plate and they went and plucked a cream puff off of the cream puff tree, I guess you could call it.
Oh, that sounds pretty fun.
It was awesome. Unfortunately, I didn't get one because by the time I got over there, it was done.
You know what, though? Those cream puffs that you guys have are one of the best desserts that I've had also. That's actually the only dessert that my wife gets is the cream puff.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, we love them. I think my daughter does such a great job with the actual cream,
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's very, very good. And one of my personal favorites that I actually get is, my wife gets the cream puff. I always get the cannoli. I'm a big fan of cannoli.
Nice.
Yeah,
nice. That is one of my favorites as well. In fact, that's one of our restaurant mottos. Leave the fork, take the cannoli.
Oh, yeah. Take the cannoli.
So
I like that line.
I kind of stole that from The Godfather. There was a scene where they offed one of the bad guys, and he said, leave the gun, take the cannolis.
I remember that. That's one of my favorite lines. That's one of my favorite movies, so I know exactly what you're talking about.
We even have those on T-shirts.
You have T-shirts there as well?
Oh, yeah.
I did not know that.
Cool T-shirts.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And I just got some really cool beer glasses in.
Really?
That have that slogan on it, and then has the Rovalis logo on it as well.
Oh, that sounds incredible, because I also collect beer glasses for my home.
Oh, very cool. Well, I'll tell you what. I'll give you a pair.
You don't have to do that. I'd be willing to pay for it.
Yeah. No. I mean, it's they're promotional. We do charge for them, but they're promotional. And when people here's the thing for me, because I really view our guests as family. If you haven't heard me say it, go read my reviews, because when I respond to people, when we start off the the business as a family, that's kind of how I just kept it. And so when people are friends of ours and guests, I just don't like to call people guests. I more like to call them friends and family.
Oh, okay.
That's how I view you guys. So that's just me.
Okay. Very touching. And also, while we're on the subject, well, I should say on the subject as well, you also do live music there. I think I read that it's every weekend that you do live music.
Yes, we actually suspended it for this year. We had the music licensing to have music, to have musicians. It got a little complicated and actually quite expensive.
Oh, okay.
And so for right now, we have suspended, having music, but yeah, that's been part of our DNA since we opened. So it was kind of heartbreaking this year to not have it.
Oh, well, that was probably one of my favorite things that I've experienced there. That's one of the things that helps me more relax while I'm eating food is when I hear live music. I don't know why it has to be live, but that usually helps me out a whole lot just to enjoy my food a little bit. So that's too bad that you had to get rid of it.
Well, we're gonna revisit it at the after the first of the year.
Okay, all right.
And look at possibly how we could make it happen again. But
Okay,
we have beautiful talent, so yeah, I miss it as well.
okay. Well, this has been an exciting interview, and I told everybody before that I was getting a little bit nervous when talking to you because I've never interviewed a restaurant owner before. I've actually interviewed nobody before, and because that it was the restaurant owner of one of my favorite places to ever go, I started getting a little bit nervous. And I got to say that Mr. Montez, you've been so nice and so well that this was a walk in the park. This was so easy. You're so easy to talk to, and I got to say that with the restaurant that it is a great place to be, and I would definitely recommend it to anybody.
Well, and that means a lot to me too. So I appreciate that. And if you wouldn't have told me this was your first interview, I wouldn't have believed it because you're a natural at it. You make people feel at ease. So I don't think there's anything to ever feel nervous about. Sometimes it gets a little tough when people don't talk.
Yes.
Or they give you very, very short answers. But I've done a podcast myself, so I've been there.
Oh, wow. Well, this has been so much fun. And you know what? Me and my wife talked about it before we got on the air just now, and we plan on going to Rovalis tonight for dinner with me and the kids. So we'll be there tonight.
Yeah, you guys should come and let's reacquaint ourselves. I'm trying, I tried to pride myself on not forgetting any faces, and so I think when I see you in person, I will remember.
Okay, well, it'll probably be easy to spot me. I'm wearing my Thomas Connection red sweater, so if you can't spot me, that's where I am.
Well, I think I wish you the very, very best of luck in your podcast. I think the way that you conduct interviews is really good, and I think you'll do well. So don't get discouraged if it starts off a little slow because it'll pick up. I think you do a very, very good job. So I'm impressed, and I used to do a podcast, so there.
Oh, well, that really takes a big weight off my shoulders, and I really appreciate your word. Thank you so much for that.
Absolutely.
All right, well, this was all Alex Montez with Rovalis Ristorante Italiano. So thank you very much, Mr. Montez, and we will talk to you shortly, okay?
All right, very good. Thank you for the phone call, and thanks for the opportunity.
Absolutely, thank you as well. Have a good day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. So that was Alex with Rovalis Ristorante Italiano, and super nice guy. That guy was probably one of the coolest guys I've ever talked to, and we talked about food, and if you didn't sound very hungry then, and then you started hearing what's on the menu for tonight and what's usually on the menu, check it out. I mean, that place is awesome. I mean, it's on 174 25th Street in Ogden. With everything that they have between spaghetti, fettuccine Alfredo, seafood Alfredo, the lasagna, pesto, grilled chicken pesto, eggplant, and chicken parm. And with their desserts, they've got the full cakes. But I mean, if you did want a full cake, obviously ask for 48 hours notice because they're so awesome, fresh making that you probably wouldn't want to go anywhere else. I mean, it's really, really good. And, I forgot to ask him about one more thing, too. But I'm sure it's okay. But, you know, one of the things that I also get when I go there is that I get the Moretti, and it is an Italian beer, and it is really good to go with like your chicken and eggplant parmesan. That was probably so I get that beer, and then I get that and I get, excuse me, I had a hiccup in my chest I couldn't get out. So I get that beer, and then I get the chicken parm or eggplant parm, and I always finish it with the cannoli. And you know, with that famous saying, you know, leave the gun, take the cannoli. That was probably the coolest thing I've ever heard, and you know, he nailed it with that one. So I'm definitely going out to eat to Rovalis tonight, and you should too. 174 25th Street in Ogden, you know, and if you ever meet the owner, let him know that you've heard it on the podcast, and check it out, you know, and we'll talk to you guys later. Thank you so much for listening. This is Curtis with Thomas Connection signing out. Talk to you later. Thank you. Bye-bye.